Alright, as you can see, I've laid out where all the other holes are going to go. This will provide lightening of the back of the knife, and also I do it mostly for the glue rivets so I could have epoxy on both sides and epoxy touching epoxy. So I'm going to go ahead and drill these out with a 1/4-inch drill bit. Okay, now that these are all been drilled, I'm going to go back over them with a 1/2-inch drill bit to chamfer all the holes so there's no rough or sharp edges. Okay, so before I heat treat, I sand my flats up to 400 grit, and I use this. This item's been machined flat, and I put my sandpaper on it like so, and then I come over here and keep it flat on the workpiece, and I sand it. I use some WD-40 just as a little bit of a lubricant to help create a slurry, and works just like this. Okay, see, trying to kind of reset the grain, so probably one more time with the 220, and then I'll hit it with the 400. But you want to try not to get too far down here. You don't want to start flattening out your bevels on your swedge or your main edge bevel. You don't want to flatten this ridge out. So just want to make sure you're sanding right up to it. Let's hit it with another 220 grit. Some guys use Windex soapy water to wetting. I just use WD. A little bit of pressure pushing down, not a whole lot. Now under the 400 grit. slightly move it left and right just so you use all the paper, all the sandpaper. Wipe that off. Okay, looks good. Looks like I set the grain in there. Let's see. Okay, up until this point, we've cleaned up our edges. We made them square. We drilled our tang holes. We chamfered our tang holes. We put in our edge bevel and our swedge grind on the top. And we cleaned up the flats from 220 to 400 grit, just so it's a little bit easier after heat treat. So what I like to do now, because this is 01 steel, and when you heat treat it, it will decarb if you're doing it in a kiln. I prefer to do the 01 in the kiln because you could soak it at a set temperature for time, which really is beneficial to the 01 steel makeup. All right, so what I like to do to keep the decarb to a minimum is I like to coat my blades with this ATP 641. You could buy this stuff from Brownells. I have nothing to do with Brownells or pushing this stuff. It's just what I use to keep decarb to a minimum. And sometimes it's a little bit difficult to get this stuff on the blade. It doesn't like to stick. So my preferred way is to heat it up with a heat gun. Like I'm doing here. Then sit it in there. You could hear it sizzle, and it will pretty much start drying now. And I only coat part of the blade. I don't coat the whole thing. You're not going to see underneath the tang, so I don't really care about that. But the part of the blade that you're going to see, I like to coat it so you don't get the decarb marks, and then there's a lot of sanding you have to do to get those out, and it's just a lot of work. This is a little effort to be able to not have that happen. So there you go. And I hang these. So I'll hang these. I got little hooks I hang the blades on, and I'll let them sit there overnight. Okay, I have the heat treat oven on. Yeah, let's open it up and have a quick look inside there. Nice and hot. I'm going to go ahead and load this up with a couple knives and get them baking. Okay, they've been heat treated. They've been tempered. That's what they look like after it's all said and done. Now it's time to start cleaning them up, turning them into real knives.